It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Spent the weekend traveling through Ohio into Michigan, visiting striking workers, walking picket lines, hearing stories, sharing war stories, sharing hopes and dreams and sorrows. Look, the reality is, as we were walking the picket line at the Jeep plant in Toledo, Ohio, or the Mopar distribution plant in Centerline, Michigan, or the Ford plant in Wayne, Michigan, the stories seemed to all meld. It didn't matter. All of these workers had kind of the same experience, and it's what we've been talking about. You know, the reality is these jobs were the center of that community. And look, you know, we were in Wayne for several hours. And my son and I were riding around the neighborhood. And you could tell that this neighborhood is still a solid working class neighborhood, but fallen on a little bit of hard times. Things are a little, still kept, but, aging. All of the feeder factories that used to be the heart and soul of the economy there, along with the Ford plant, are now something else. And as my son was looking around and we were talking about it, I said, look, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even a little bit into the 80s, these small factories that surrounded this giant Ford facility all fed into that. And all of these places were good, decent union jobs that provided families who lived in these homes that surrounded this area with an opportunity to thrive. And what these people are fighting for on these picket lines is that it's more than just about the wages and the hours and the benefits. It's more than that. This is why this moment is different. It's about bringing back that community solidarity. It's about bringing back that community prosperity. It's about bringing back that vision of what America was. A place where if you worked hard and played by the rules, damn it, you got ahead. And as we were talking to people, that theme kept coming up, especially the old timers. We met a guy who was at the Wayne plant 50 years. And, my first question is, why haven't you moved on and done something else? And he goes, I love working. I started when I was young, but I love the people I work with. I love the camaraderie. This is who I am. And, and you heard that story, especially from the old timers. He said, look, I'm out here on this line, not because I need the money. I'm out here because all these young people, I want them to have the same opportunities that I had. And again, that seems to be because what's happened in these facilities is because of that two-tier wage system that, everyone says has to go. You've created this division. You've created the legacy workers who have been there, 50 years, who are making, a little bit better than reasonable. Not what they were when they started, and all of us have talked about that. Back in the day, this was the job. You got this job. You were at the top of the pecking order. And because of decades of stagnation, because of decades of bad corporate decisions, political decisions, because of that, these jobs they're okay. Not the kind that you wanted to bring your kids into anymore, though. Even though we did meet people, we were at the distribution plant in Centerline, Michigan, and the one woman said, my mother worked here, I work here, my kids, they work here. It's a family thing, And they want to continue that opportunity. And I don't think it's too much. Look, we and I'm going to talk about a lot of the stories that I heard over the couple of days we were on the road. But that theme kept coming back over and over again. Making work pay. Union job, better life. That's simple. And the more we see coming out of Sean Fain and the leadership, the more they keep sticking to what is the right message. It's corporate greed versus workers' sacrifice. And these workers have sacrificed. The concessions that they've given over the years has given these companies the ability for wild profits. All the while now still going, well, times are good, but, well, if times are good, you share. Because I sure as shine know that when things get bad, you're going to be begging for things back. And again, this is something that folks understood. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this, especially with the revelations that Ford has come along on a number of issues, which is why they didn't expand the strike against Ford. The other ones, I don't know. But we're going to find out. I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. When we come back, one of the things that kept popping up, the historic nature of how this came about. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about that. Going to take a quick break right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
We are AFGE. We support our nation's military and our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders and provide services to our nation's seniors across the country and here in Washington, D.C. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
So in all the places that we went to, and like I said, we were at the Jeep plant in Toledo. We're at a Mopar distribution center in Centerline, Michigan. We showed up at the Ford plant in Wayne, Michigan, and the hundreds of people that we spoke to, a theme kept popping up. The theme of the fact that this is a historic moment. This is what democracy looks like, and the fact that in a democracy, everyone gets to vote. And that voting thing popped up again and again and again. And it reminded me of the kind of energy that we saw back in 97 when the UPS workers went on strike. And that historic strike and the huge victory that they got out of that because of the one man, one vote that came along. The fact that you had kind of direct Athenian democracy. So the fact that this popped up caught my attention, which is why I've asked our good friend Scott Holderson to come talk with us. Scott is on the steering committee. He's the chairperson of the UAWD, Unite All Workers for Democracy. They're kind of the folks that were the impetus, the driving force, however you want to put that. They're the ones behind it. Let's go with that. They're the ones behind it. Scott, thanks for taking time for us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Rick.
So, again, as I said, we went to these places and that one thing kept popping up. So what do you think?
Well, I think that this is a dream come true, not only for me, but for decades of UAW reform-minded members. Direct democracy for electing our international executive board has been a dream of UAW members for decades. Now it has finally had an opportunity to take hold, and we want to make sure that we can protect that democracy and make sure that it stays with us for a very long time.
Now, again, your group wasn't specifically named, but, I kept hearing people saying, there are these reformers, there are these people out there who are pushing for this stuff. And while they didn't know specifically who you and Unite All Workers for Democracy was or is, they knew that there were big changes that happened. So I guess, congrats on that. I'm sure there's a lot more to be done, but this, if nothing else, this was a huge victory.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's been a dream of mine. It's been a dream of generations of reform-minded UAW members. We had an opportunity that others did not have, and that opportunity came about because the administration caucus got too greedy. They had coalesced their power. They thought they were untouchable, and they found out that they weren't. The corruption scandal that erupted in 2017 and really came to a crescendo in 2019 with the the clear the indictment of Director of Region 5, Vance Pearson, and you could see from that indictment paper that the current president, Gary Jones, and the former president, Dennis Williams, were deeply involved in that. So a bunch of UAW members got together, just a handful of us to start with, but we started researching our Constitution and trying to figure out ways to fight back against this corruption that had infected our union. And democracy was what we felt was the best way to do that, was to put the membership in control of our union once again.
And it's what we believe as trade unionists, or at least I do. It's what we believe in as trade unionists, that we have the ultimate say in the direction that our union goes, and that's a kind of language that was forgotten for a while, I think.
Yeah, well, it wasn't forgotten. It was, there were a lot of people fighting for it, but there were very powerful forces fighting against it. The Ruther Administration Caucus had kept control of the International Executive Board from 1947 until last year, and they did that through the convention system. They had an ironclad grip on the International Executive Board through that convention system, and they did not want to let go of it. One of the reforms we sought was direct elections through a special convention to change the way we elected our international officers, and they fought us tooth and nail on that. And in the end, that effort under our Constitution failed, but the federal government, in their consent decree, required a referendum vote of the membership to decide that question rather than just take it to a convention.
No, that's great stuff. So let me ask you this, because I've been watching the news reports of this. Axios today came out with a statement that Sean Fain's acting more like a politician, rallying constituents than backroom union bosses, and insiders, industry observers, they wonder if he's promised too much. And I'm going, I don't know if it's just the part of the horse race of the media trying to get people's attention, but it's this kind of bizarre hot take that sends the rest of society questioning unions overall. So when you hear something like that, what do you think?
Well, I think he's not promising anything. He's taking the members' demands, putting them on the table, and he clearly framed them as the members' demands. Those were the demands that members all across the UAW submitted through either bargaining resolutions or resolutions to the bargaining convention. And, the members have spoken, and Sean is their mouthpiece. And really that's all that's happening is he's a reflection of what the membership is looking for in this contract battle.
And what it turns out to is, look, I had a great opportunity to talk to a lot of members this past weekend, and people who have been working for. We talked to a guy who worked 55 years at the plant in Wayne, a guy 50 plus years at the distribution center there in Centerline. I mean, these are people who've spent longer than most of us have been alive building this company. And the one thing that they said is, this is a moment for us to bring this job back to where it was when I started. This is an opportunity to pass on to my children and grandchildren the same kind of opportunities that I was afforded, to work hard, play by the rules, and actually get ahead. And that, again, with the old timers, that theme, it wasn't about them so much. It was about that legacy that I thought was kind of important to bring back.
Yeah, we always wanted to leave this union in a better shape than what we found it. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make the next generation, life for the next generation, a little better than we had it. And for the past 40 years, that's not been the case. Our contracts have been going backwards for 40 years. And that kind of marks in time the place where the union, the UAW leadership, decided they were going to work with the companies to protect the companies from foreign investments and other mismanagement of the companies by giving concessions. They always would say that we're going to live to fight another day. Yet our union membership has dwindled over those 40 years. In 1980, our membership was right around 1.5 million members. Now we're a little bit under 400,000 members. So we've lost 1.1 million members in that time frame when we were living to fight another day. So the cooperation scheme that has been the paradigm in the UAW leadership for the past 40 years has not worked. And now we have an opportunity to turn that around. And that's what democracy in our union has done. It's given us an opportunity. Now, what we do with that opportunity remains to be seen. But so far, I like what I'm seeing.
No, and as an outsider looking in, as someone who spent some time with your members on the line, one, I like what you're doing because I think for society as a whole to actually see working people fighting and winning, or at least putting up a good fight, that is societally an enormous thing. But also for the members, for the one guy told me that for the first time in the years that he's been there, he's actually proud of what they're doing, and that this is something that he's going to tell his children down the road. I find that we're living those kind of moments that we know are historic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that these negotiations have been so open and so available to the membership, and give credit to Sean Fain for being as transparent more transparent than any UAW president in my lifetime, and probably the most transparent president ever of the UAW. And that has sparked the imagination of the membership and put the membership in the driver's seat, really. That open communication is such a paradigm shift from what it used to be. If you look back 4 years ago at the GM strike, workers were on strike for 44 days, and to a member, they knew what they were striking for. But there was an information blackout from the opening of negotiations until a tentative agreement was reached. And when that tentative agreement was reached, it fell short of the membership's demands. But they knew with the leadership, the kind of leadership that we had at that time, that there was no chance of them going back to the table and getting a better deal for us. So after 44 days, they accepted that, begrudgingly accepted that agreement. But that has sparked an upsurge in the membership of the UAW to demand more. And the direct elections for international officers has opened that door wide open, and Sean Fain stepped through it and is leading the membership to get back what we've lost over these decades. We don't expect to get everything in this contract negotiations, but from what I'm seeing, we're well on our way to making some historic contract gains.
Yeah, especially at Ford. I mean, everybody when we were in Wayne, everyone was effusive for praise for Fain as what they'd already gotten from Ford, and the hope was more was coming, and that would be the model of what would trickle across the big three. Do you hold the same kind of optimism?
Well, of course I do. Of course, we know that the companies did not want to give what they've given so far. And Ford was rewarded by not having their parts depots put on strike because they've moved forward. I would hope that GM and Stellantis executives would see the example that Ford has set and start moving for our members in those parts of the UAW towards what Ford has put on the table. One thing that we haven't seen, and that I'm sure is part of the sticking point, is pensions and healthcare and retirement for folks that started 2007 or later. And I'm pretty sure those are some of the sticking points. I hope we can get those back in this contract round.
No, in fact, as I was talking, especially to the old timers, they were talking about the amount of concessions they had seen throughout their lives and how much they had given back and how much they had sacrificed to keep these companies afloat. And to be honest, they all seemed, I'm not going to say angry, but they were hurt. They were, I guess, angry was a part of it. Insulted, however you want to frame that their sacrifices in this moment weren't being recognized by these companies who are pushing back on the idea that these conditions have gotten worse, the wages have gotten worse. All of this job that used to be the gold standard of the working class is now just, well, a Mick job.
Yeah, it really has become that. And, as a legacy skilled trades employee, I've seen my wages stagnate. Since 2007, we've had 2-3% increases in that 14 years. But on top of that, when we suspended COLA, we lost $1 an hour. It was 99 cents an hour that we gave up. And COLA is a adjustment to your wages. So that was 99 cents an hour forever, right? That was a real hit. And to see the companies be so profitable the past 10 years and not even come close to wanting to bring that back. Now, Ford has after having been put out on strike at the Michigan Assembly Plant, Ford has agreed to bring back that cost of living allowance formula as it was in 2009, according to what President Payne told us last Friday. There have been huge concessions. That's just the tip of the iceberg, right, for what we've given up to these companies.
No. In fact, everyone said, "Look, we just want what we were told." Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but, to the man, they all said, look, we made those concessions to keep these companies afloat because we were told this is the only way they were going to be able to survive, but that they would come back at some period down the road so that, as the sales pitch back then was, we're going to save them now, but eventually when they're on their feet, we're going to get this back. So it's going to be okay. Well, $250 billion over a decade seems like they're on their feet.
Yeah, they've more than made up for what they lost during those dark years for these companies, and they made a promise to us. At least we felt that there was a promise made to us that these concessions were going to be reversed once they got healthy again. And let me make it clear: it was not our wages that drove these companies into the abysmal position they were in. It was mismanagement. It was a lack of imagination. It was a losing control and losing market share to foreign companies coming in, and that the fact that the UAW has struggled so much to organize those plants has played a role in it. But the role, I think the reason that we haven't been able to organize those plants is that we've been looking like a company union for decades. And we no longer look like a company union. So I think after this contract battle is over, you're going to see a lot of folks flocking to the UAW to join a fighting union, because who wants to join a company union?
There you go.
When you have a fighting union opportunity.
No. I mean, you look at right after the UPS contract was ratified. The number, Indeed.com and all the employment sites, the searching for those jobs went through the roof. And I fully expect that you are correct. As soon as people find out what you get on the other side of this contract, I think you're going to see the same. But Scott, I wish you guys the best. Keep up the great work. I hope you'll come back and talk with us again down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rick, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you, brother.
Thanks so much, Scott Holson. He is the chairperson of the UAWD Steering Committee, Unite All Workers for Democracy, UAWD.org. The website, if you want to check out the work that they do, highly suggested. Going to take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around.
The best way to strengthen America's economy? How about investing in America's fastest growing industry? Clean energy. It means millions of jobs that pay well and can't be outsourced. And lower utility costs for families. Congress, let's get it done.
To the Rick Smith Show. Check out our website, ricksmithshow.com. One man, one vote. I got to tell you, the historic nature of that within this union is just remarkable. And the fact that Scott and his group Unite All Workers for Democracy, the fact that they were at the front of this, pushing for this direct democracy, this direct Athenian kind of democracy. You see how people get excited about it. You see how people participate. You see how well, we're going to find out. And like I said with Scott a moment ago, this energy I remember feeling back in 96, 97 when the Teamsters went on strike. That was the first election where a president was elected directly by the membership, one person, one vote. And that was a historic moment as well. Now, we're certainly living history, but are we going to be reliving history that we remember fondly or not? And that comes back down to the question. Where this is going to end up. I look at a lot of the media reports coming out, questioning Shawn Fain, trying to find crisis, trying to find division, trying to, instead of just saying this is what's happened, now throwing things out. Oh, there were text messages. Yeah, there are always text messages. There's always going to be something to tear things apart. I like what Shawn Fain is doing to this point, talking about it's about the members and being incredibly transparent about it. So again, my hope is that this all continues on the right path, that these workers get what they earn. I'm not throwing the word deserve word out there. It's what they earn. Their labor creates this profit. $250 billion over the last 10 years. Do that math in your head. I want to hear what you think. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Miss any portion of our program or any of our programs? Grab the podcast there at the website. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.